What is up guys, Dzeeff here. Today I wanted to post a video a bit different than my normal content. This is pretty unscripted. I just want to talk about the state of Yu-Gi-Oh! In 2022. Now this was inspired by MBT's video from last week. He made a video titled Unmotivated. And in that video he talked about the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG format and Master Duel and the Rush Duel video game and Duel Links. And he talked about many of his issues that he had with those different formats. Now I'm not feeling unmotivated right now per se, but I did agree with a lot of the things that he had to say about those formats. Make sure to go watch that video by MBT after watching today's discussion because he makes a lot of good points as well. In today's video, I wanted to talk about why I'm worried about the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG and Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel in terms of their longevity. Now obviously I've made a lot of videos talking about Master Duel and just playing Master Duel in general over the past month and a half, but I really have not been making that many videos about the TCG, and I wanted to explain why in today's video. When it comes to the TCG right now, I'm not a fan of the current state of that game, and I am a little bit worried because there aren't any like big releases on the horizon. In March, I believe the only TCG product being released is the Hidden Arsenal Chapter 1 set, and that set is fine, but it doesn't really introduce that many new cards into the game. It is primarily a reprint set, so there's not going to be a big change that happens when that is released. So we're kind of stuck in the current TCG format for the foreseeable future. And I know that a lot of people in my comment sections will complain about every TCG format, but usually I'm someone that just kind of goes with the flow. I don't really mind what's going on. I'll try to find like new tech cards to beat the meta, or I'll play a new rogue deck to try to beat the meta. I don't really care like what's going on. I'm just trying to find ways to beat the top decks. But right now it just feels so boring to me, and I hate to say that because I really do enjoy the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG overall, but right now I'm just not having a lot of fun. First off, yeah, every deck plays the Scythe DPE combo. If you can summon any 4 monsters, you can basically lock your opponent out of the game, and that's not really that exciting to me. I mean, some people might like that, and there are ways to stop that combo, but personally, it's just not very fun. But more so than that, because that combo has existed for a little while now, and I don't feel that it always ruined the format, I think the bigger problem right now is the Adventurer engine. Now, the Adventurer cards, I mean, we all knew they would be meta. I think my video that I made about them when they released was like, this is the new meta, and that did come true. On a fundamental level, it's fine when new cards are released and they are good. That's what you want to see out of a card game. You want new cards that are actually playable. But I think the Adventurer cards are like so pushed. Like all the cards have multiple good effects, they're so easy to use, and they set up a negate pretty much without you doing anything, and you don't have to invest that many cards to do it. And I think for that reason it makes a lot of decks way better, which obviously, I mean, people knew this, but yeah, decks that otherwise wouldn't be able to set up a negate on turn 1 before they started comboing off, now they are suddenly able to put out a Griffin to prevent the opponent from hand trapping them. And I feel like when I'm deck building right now, I have to plan to open at least 2 or even 3 hand traps to have a chance when going second. And not every format is like that. You know, even in the last format, there were times when I didn't main deck any hand traps because I felt like my engine could actually break my opponent's board. But right now, if you don't stop the opponent's combo, they're going to Scythe lock you, so you really need to play hand traps to prevent that from happening. But you can't just play a few hand traps because you also have to have a hand trap to stop the Adventurer engine so that that engine doesn't stop the hand trap that you're trying to use to stop the Scythe DPE combo. And it's weird because on paper the format does look pretty diverse. You know, there are tons of decks that are topping. You know, if you looked at the top 16 of the YCS, there were a variety of different decks, but so many of them are playing the same 13 cards, 14 cards if you count Scythe, where they're playing 9 Adventurer cards and then 4 DPE engine cards and then 1 Scythe in their main deck. So every single deck is playing like almost all of those cards, and it just gets really old after a few rounds in a tournament. Now people are innovating the format. You know, you have like Pack with his wild DDD deck that he made top 8 with at the YCS, but a lot of people are just playing the artifact combo alongside the Adventurer engine. And I don't fault anyone for doing that, by the way. You're not wrong for playing those cards because obviously they are very powerful. But from my perspective, it is very unfun to play against, so for that reason I've kind of taken a break over the past month from playing in TCG events. Now I will say here that at the end of the month there are some regionals happening, and I'm very excited about that. I'm planning on going to at least a couple of those, but in terms of like trying to grind in remote duel tournaments right now, I just really don't want to do that because I don't love the current format. So yeah, I'm not going to fault the top players for playing powerful cards. You know, obviously people are going to play whatever is going to give them the best chance of winning, and I don't blame them for that, but I will say that personally I don't really enjoy playing against the Adventurer engine or the DPE Scythe combo. So I'm hoping on the next ban list, Konami does hit those cards in some way. Now let's talk about Master Duel as well, because obviously that's what I've been primarily playing over the past month and a half. So I've made a lot of videos talking about Master Duel and some of the issues that I have with it. The game just looks exactly the same as it did when it was released, and we're now currently in Season 3. So I'm getting a little bit worried about how often Konami plans on updating Master Duel. Maybe they'll turn things around and start updating like crazy. We do have some like countdown timers in the game, like there's the selection boxes that expire in a couple weeks here. We have the Duel Pass that expires in like early April and stuff like that. But for now, I'm a little bit bored with Master Duel. On one hand, it's like there's so many decks that I haven't posted about that I want to post about, so I'm still excited to play the game. But on the other hand, there's not really anything new that's been added in Master Duel since its release. We still have the same ranks, we still have the same card pool, we still have the same cosmetics, we still have the same ban list. It's kind of getting a little bit old at this point. And this is kind of a weird one as well, because I've seen a lot of comments from people that are returning to Yu-Gi-Oh! Because of Master Duel, and they're a little bit overwhelmed by how many cards are in the game. But for those of us that already were playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It feels very far behind, not only because of the ban list and the card pool, but just because we've already played a similar format. This is basically the 2020 format, or at least the summer of 2020 format. There are some differences because, of course, some newer decks have been added into the game that didn't exist back in the summer of 2020, but overall, pretty much with all of the current meta decks in Master Duel, those are already decks that existed in the TCG at some point. So this feels kind of like a very outdated format, and I'm getting a little bit bored with the current state of Master Duel. Now, obviously, like I said, for the newer Yu-Gi-Oh! Players, they don't really notice that, and I see a lot of people saying like, oh, there's plenty of content in the game, you know, they haven't even been able to like try out every new deck that they've seen. But for a lot of the current TCG players that were playing Master Duel, it does seem a little bit boring at this point. Now, obviously, I want the TCG and Master Duel to be as successful as they possibly can. Not only as someone that like talks about Yu-Gi-Oh! For their job, but just as someone that has been a lifelong Yu-Gi-Oh! Fan, I want these games to be successful. But right now, I feel like I'm a little bit worried about their future because Master Duel isn't really getting new content anytime soon. The TCG is kind of in a shitty format, so I'm not really sure what Konami is going to do in the future because right now it seems like we're kind of at a stalemate. Things aren't going to change for at least the next few weeks, if not the next few months, and from my perspective, that's not really a good thing. Best case scenario, Konami bans Scythe and the TCG on the next ban list, and in Master Duel they add a whole bunch of new content in like a month, but who really knows what's going to happen at this point. Anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comment section below. Are you playing the TCG right now? Are you playing Master Duel right now? What do you want to change in those two formats? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I'll see you later though. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.